Gonna be a fun stream today. Doing some well, I won't say fun. We're doing composting and other goodies. Let's just see a good spot for this guy to hang out today. It's gonna be out of the way. This spot right here is gonna be the winner. There you go. Again, hope everybody had a good day today. It was a good day for me. Took care of some client work, met with a few folks that a couple of people I'm partnering with when it comes to a potential podcast for business. So that was good. You know, obviously we're looking at doing things a little bit differently than most do. Different take on the podcast, but you know, is what it is. And then I just finished up some client work, meeting with some of my favorite clients that I got. I just absolutely love these folks. So it was good to spend some time with them. Let's get this water over here. So today is composting day. We got some compost we got to straighten up around here. You know, this is pretty much an every week sort of thing. Just taking care of the compost, making sure it's turning it if it needs to be turned, incorporating stuff where I need to incorporate. You know, as usual, just like with anything, it's maintenance involved. Just gotta stay on top of it. Where's that? Oh, get this one guy out of here. Good job, buddy. You held that tarp in place. Nice work. Okay. Now, if y'all remember from last, so we've got a couple spots here. So I got, this is my, this one is pretty well seasoned. You know, it's coming along. I've got to want to reincorporate some stuff in here. This is one that I did last week, a brand new bit of compost, and we had it filled up to here, whereas it's done all of its work. And you can kind of see how far in a week what the bacteria have done to it. I mean, we went from here, it's all the way down to here right now. That's how much work the bacteria have done as far as chomping up all that goodness. And also just the water coming out of everything and the air. Again, just something to keep in mind. You've got, when we do this and we're incorporating all of the grass and our leaves and everything into this, that you're going to have a lot of air in here too, because that's what you want to have. Like right now, though, it is time to bring this back, because you can see my internal temperature has dropped down to, it was around 110. It means it's active, but I want this thing cooking in that red zone. It's got that red zone in there. We want this thing above 130. So that means this one's ready to be turned here. I'm also going to incorporate a little bit of grass in here as well too. A little bit of additional grass. I've got plenty of brown matter in there, so I'm just going to pull some of this out and reintegrate this, rehydrate it, and get this one going. This one we're going to leave alone. It's pretty just maturing at this point. I don't think I'm going to do anything with this week. And then I have a new one, my third pile here, which is going to get the remainder of my grass, is going to get incorporated there. So my goal throughout the summer here is I have plenty of brown matter over there. Plus I'm going to call I got family members going to drop off a round bale at some point of straw. Is every week I should have about this much compost, which ends up being about 1 by 1 by 9, so about 9 square feet. So, you know, 9 square feet of compost every week should be coming out, which I can put, be putting it in my garden, using it, and then also making some compost tea out of it, which then the expired stuff I will put in my garden as well too, just to have it there. So that's really what we got on tap for today. You know, it's compost day. This is everyone's favorite day. Well, it's getting out here on the stream. This is one of those things that's the job. If you want to do it, it's every week sort of a thing with your garden. It's one of those things also that they don't necessarily talk about too much in the like in the other programs when you're watching. They're like, here's how you do compost, and then they tell you, you know, just make sure you turn it every now and again. What they don't do, and that's why I go live, is so y'all can see in real time kind of what it looks like and how long it takes to do it right. Now with this, I did take the cover off that I had a tarp over here to basically maintain and keep the temperature in and also keep my. So you can see why it needs to be turned here. We just go pull something from the middle here. Just kind of see what we're dealing with. See that steam coming off there, boy. That is hot. But we're getting a little bit of matting going here. But you can't see I'm starting to get baseline for our aerobic bacteria. See how it's white in there doing its thing. But it just needs to be turned. There's not enough oxygen getting in there. And once you start getting the matting, oxygen can't get in here. Oh yeah, there you go. Smells exactly like I want it to though. But the oxygen can't get in, which means your aerobic bacteria will start dying. Right, you don't want that. And your anaerobic stuff will take over. The other piece, when we were doing this last week, remember I was saying, no matter how hard you try, you're still going to have some matting go on with grass on that first go. That's what you're seeing right there. So we got that. So the goal here with compost is always stuff that's on the top we want at the bottom, stuff on the bottom we want at the top, stuff that's in the middle we want it on the outside, and stuff in the outside we want on the inside. So basically just a full on mixture with this thing. And I'm also going to be looking at, it looks like I've still got plenty of grass in here, but I may just throw a little bit more in here just to keep it fresh, give it some new nitrogen to help kickstart it. But I also want to look at the moisture levels too, make sure that's not going to be an issue as well. Because if you don't have enough moisture, these things don't like to get started. And we want this definitely kick-starting and going. So yeah, I'm just looking in here. And, it's only been a week, but you can definitely see where stuff is starting to break down some. But I do have some matting and some spots like that chunk right there we got to take care of. Again, that keeps moisture from moving where it needs to go, but it also keeps oxygen from getting in. And we don't want that. We want oxygen in this thing. So like I say, and I always try to do, especially on my first, when I start a new pile, I always want to try to have an initial turn in the first week or so, week to 10 days, usually within the first week, just because it is going to compress down quite a bit and we want to get oxygen in here. So the good bacteria, the ones we want, stay alive basically. We don't want them getting crushed or choked out by not having the oxygen, no suffocation. But yeah, that's I'm also just looking at the moisture level too. One of the things you don't want to see is like your compost. It should be moist, but it shouldn't be soaked. And like right now, this is, once I get everything mixed together, I'll get a be able to, or as I reincorporate, I'll be able to take a look. But there's dry areas in here, and there's areas that are moist. That's going to happen. These are dry areas anywhere around the surface, right on the edge of the compost or the end of the bins here, where it's going to be in contact with air. Specifically on the corners, because you're going to have that point where it comes into. That is going to wick out, basically serve as a wick, pull even more moisture out. Just physics, folks. You just want to make sure that we've got that squared away. All right. All right, we are down to, basically that compost level I had at the base here. Just gotta sprinkle that in here. All right, so that looks pretty good right now. I think I've got everything mostly turned up here. Yeah, sprinkle more of that compost here. And like I say, the goal here is I'm gonna take some of the grass that I have here from yesterday's clippings. And this is about, I'd say I have about a yard of grass clippings that I have to incorporate in between this and the new pile that I have that's going to be going just on the other side here. So that'll be good. Get those incorporated and get that moving. But yeah, that's where at today. So I appreciate everybody's coming on the stream, stopping by to hang out. I said I just finished meeting up with one of my clients, the landscape company, which was fun. I love those guys. They're great. They're really good. Got good hearts. They want to do well, so they're doing all that. They're doing all the heavy lifting and that I like to see for my clients as far as improving their business. You know, just gotta sprinkle this right on top here, mix it up that way. Again, with this, when we're putting this back in here, we want to try to incorporate as much oxygen as we can into the show as we're going. And we're going to do about a third of this in here. And then I'm going to hit it with some water just so we got some fresh water. Again, I'm using well water. Just keep in mind, if you have city water, if you're going to put it on here, that the chlorine is going to kill off some of your bacteria. It won't sterilize it, but it is going to slow how long it'll take for your compost to take off to get to temperature, because you will have basically burned off or killed off a big chunk of the aerobic bacteria. Just what happens. Where in this case, where I'm using well water, it's going to be, I'll be up to 130 degrees probably, I guess, with this pile. I mean, before, like in the morning, I'll come out here, I'll be at 130, 140, no issues whatsoever. Because all the bacteria that are in here, they're getting some fresh nitrogen, some fresh water, but mostly they're getting fresh oxygen in here. So they're going to be ready to go. And if you think about your fire triangle, what that means, get oxygen in the equation, this thing's going to start heating up in a hurry. The other spot I'm just doing is I'm reincorporating here. I'm just looking to make sure I don't, any of those mats that I had with the grass, we're just breaking them up. So we can just get some, best of our ability breaking them up. So that way, when we want that oxygen, but also we want to make sure that moisture can flow where it needs to go and oxygen can go where it needs to go. If you have matting, you stifle basically each of those from being able to go where they need to go. We don't want that. There we go. Now after this one, after I get this incorporation done with this grass and our mulch here, I won't have to touch this again for 2 weeks. We're just gonna let this guy go, get happy. Like I said, it's just the first week. I want to get out here and make sure that I don't have any significant matting going on. It only takes about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to just do an initial turn like this. So it's worth the investment, because like I said, this is going to end up going in my yard or my garden. So I want to make sure it's as, done well. But also I have a schedule for all these things where each of these are going to be coming due on different weeks throughout the year. So it should be a month to 5 weeks for this stuff to mature, because of how in the heat of the summer, they're just going to be cooking. And I'm keeping it at mass so that I can reignite. There's no reason this stuff shouldn't be turning over, rather quickly. All right, so there's that first bit. I want to give it a little more water here. A little drink. All right. Again, just making sure we got plenty of hydration on this. When you're dealing with your compost, it's one of those things you want to make sure you're that initial spot, especially when it's starting, you want to make sure it's got plenty. Got my first strawberry of the season popped up today. That's a good news story. Always like to see that. Always like to see that. What's that? And then got this, got to water in my garden and stuff like that, and around. I got a ridiculous amount of black-eyed Susans in yesterday. Took me about 2 hours to get all those in on stream. That was good. Had some good conversation yesterday on stream with some folks talking about our, getting our flowers in, what this year is going to look like. So that was good. Yeah, that yard looks. Yeah, and the garden enclosure just keeps looking better and better every year. I think it's going to be one of my better, just banner years for that this year coming up, especially with all the new flowers and everything that I got to go around. The perimeter. I think it just looks great. Then off stream today, I also got some crabgrass control I got to do in my yard. Won't necessarily be boring you all with that. Got to spray a bunch away from the garden, obviously. Near the garden, I take care of crabgrass by hand. But away from the garden, I've got some treatment I can use. Try to keep everybody, keep that crabgrass at bay. And again, it's just because of how invasive and just how once crabgrass sets up, how difficult it is to get rid of it. And I've got it where it's set up shop in a corner of my yard. And I don't want it spreading to the whole thing because I use my grass for compost and I don't want crabgrass seed in there. That's the main reason. Even though most of the, when I do compost it, it should kill off the vast majority of all of the crabgrass seed. That doesn't matter. There's still some that may sneak through because they may not get to full temperature for long enough. And if that's the case, I'm dropping crabgrass seed right in my garden. I ain't trying to do that. You know what I mean? So, all right. But I was looking at the long range calendar too for the temperatures and stuff. We're heating up here in Michigan. Pretty happy about that. We should be well on our way to, consistent 70s overnights, high 50s, 60s. So I will take that for sure. It's going to help all my stuff grow quicker, But I got my greenhouse mostly cleared out now, which is great. Got I've got the remainder of the marigolds that they have to go into the garden. I've got a few. The marigolds, I'm looking through it because it's right behind you. Marigolds, I got to figure out what to do with my lavender yet. I got a whole bunch of petunias that I have a plan for. Just need to get them there. And that'll be good. That stone out of there. I'm trying to hear that every time I go in with the tines. Don't think I want that stick in there this time. All right. Pile this up over here. Come on, buddy. So yeah, basically got a plan for my flowers, plan for the garden as far as, getting everything in over the next week. I should have most of, the spring stuff. The spring planting should be done. My early summer stuff will be ready as well. Break those leaves up there. Okay, there's that. I'm gonna put the pallet back on here. Okay. And once I get the pallet on, we'll drop this back in there. We can get this thing in. Make sure this guy takes off like I need it to, which it will. I'm not worried about that at all. This guy will take off just fine. Where's my... There we go. Bring this down over here. There we go. Lots of oxygen going in there. That's what we want. So again, I got this basically fluffed up with the additional grass I threw in just so it'd have some nitrogen to go with the oxygen. We've got this thing up to about half again. So what I'm going to do is come in right here and get my thermometer to the halfway mark. All right, so it's in basically, I'm making sure it's inserted in the deepest section there. So I can basically see what the temperature is going to be at the internal. Again, we want to be at about, you know, you want to be above 132, I think is the magic number. Typically, I think 135 even, whatever. But I mean, I'm usually happy when the thing's kicking right around 140 to 145. I mean, I had it, this pile a week ago after the day after we got it going, it was like 157. It was burning. It was great. So that's what you want to see. Much heat, lots of heat. All right, so this spot over here, I'll bring you guys, I think, a little closer for this one so you can see what I'm dealing with here. Again, my wife got this for me. I love this little subscribe thing that she got for me. Super sweet. We'll bring you guys a little closer here. You can see the action happening. Maybe we'll just do it. I wonder if this is maybe a good shot. Let's see. Yeah, I think that'll work. Yeah, I think that'll be all right. All right. Let me give this one last little hose here too, where I cover it up. This has got plenty of moisture in it. Well, we're just going to make sure. Cool. All right. All right, so now on to this bit. As you can see, I've got, I mean, it's hard to even see, but this is about a yard of grass clippings from yesterday. This is what I get off of my yard, and that's why we're out here doing compost today. So we can get this incorporated in with some brown matter, which you can see I already got some in there. And that has a mixture of grass already in there, but we're going to treat it basically as just kind of fresh. I'm going to use this, plus I have some leaves over there that I'm going to be bringing over to make this all come together. And as we go, just kind of mixing it up, we should be able to fill this one pretty much all the way up, would be my guess. We should be somewhere around this area by the time we're finished here, would be my guess. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, welcome to the stream, everybody. This is your first time showing up here and don't really know not really sure what the heck's going on. My name is Ryan. I come live on Monday through Friday, usually between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern, where I'm out here just doing yard work on my property. I'll either be in the garden, in my yard doing something, or out here in the ugly side of my yard doing compost. But we spent yesterday on the stream a big chunk of time. That going in there. Get that out of there. A big chunk of time, putting flowers around my garden enclosure. It was a good time. Had a good conversation. Had somebody from Nepal, from northern India, excuse me, was on the stream yesterday. So that was pretty fun. Pretty fun doing that. Somebody who's traveled around a lot. That's always fun to meet new people and get to hear some different perspectives. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, and I hope I earn your subscription today. Again, if you do subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell so you can get notified when I come live like this. Come on, hop on the stream with us and share some stories, or if you see me doing something that looks stupid, I don't want to say stupid, but you have a better way you think of doing it, let me know. I'm learning every day, just like like I should be, about different ways of doing this. And you'll see I've got we've got other things that we're throwing in here as well. We keep all of our we compost all of our veggies and fruits, our scraps. I got eggshells in here. One thing we don't do is meat or dairy products with our compost. You can, I just don't want to have any critters, unnecessary critters. You can't do anything about mice getting in here. They're just gonna they're going to set up shop in here. That's just what mice do. But the heck is that? Get that out of there too. You know, but if I want to keep the larger critters out of here, you know what I mean? So the mice, they can come in and stay warm or do whatever they want. That's fine. Everybody else, what is this? What are all these little things that are little metallic pieces, like little aluminum foils are showing up in my, I don't know what that's from. I must have hit something when I was mowing, or it was in the leaves or something. What is that? Well, this looks like confetti. That must be from the neighbor's property. Okay, I got leaves from my neighbor this year, so I've got some of her like confetti or stuff from her kids. That's cool. It's nice and bright and shiny, so I'll be able to see it. But it's also aluminum. It's not end of the world. All right, so again, what we're doing here is, you know, this has got a pile of some stuff in here. So what basically the plan is, again, I'm clearing out this one. For those just joining, I'm clearing this one out, and I'm going to be incorporating, well, all that green stuff right there. That's what we're doing here today. Exciting as that is, right? And just, you know, helping people learn a little bit more about composting that may have never done it before, which, you know, is a big part of why I do this. You know, I just, from the education piece, you know, I love the fact that YouTube exists, because we can all hop on here, right, and get educated. That's why you're on YouTube. I mean, trying to learn something or just be entertained, obviously. Hopefully I can do both. But, you know, at the end of the day, I want to make sure folks are learning something when they're on the channel with me here. Because especially when it comes to gardening and all things gardening, composting is the one thing, it's always intimidated people, I found, when in reality, it's nothing really to be intimidated about. It's not, it's the, how do I want to say it here? The folks that I've watched and I've listened to, nothing against them, but they've made it more complicated than it really needs to be. Make sure you got some brown stuff. Make sure you got some green stuff. If you're worried about basically a mixture, more brown than green. Make sure there's water, and make sure that you've incorporated enough oxygen into it. Another one of those little things. Yeah, that's really it. And then, like we did in the last one there, you just turn it. Make sure it's got plenty of water. And I'll show you that as step by step as we're going through, kind of what that looks like. So you do not need to worry. We don't do that on this channel. Worrying is not something that we do. Yeah, worrying is not allowed in here. So I'm going to show you, again, for those that need to hear, we're going to go through our different ingredients right now that I got you. So we've got our green here, right? This is your nitrogen stuff. Right? This is my grass clippings. I got leaves here. You'll see back there, I've got some old corn stalks. You can use cardboard as long as it doesn't have, like the regular brown cardboard, as long as you get the labels off and it just has, you know, like the black ink. I mean, they've all, you know, you don't want any of the stickers on there, right? So what you want to have is basically the mix is between 15 and 30 to 1. So 30 times as much of this to this. I'll tell you right now, I basically do enough just to cover the green stuff and call it good, because this has carbon in it. This isn't just pure nitrogen. There's a lot of carbon in that. So I just try to cover and then mix it up. Make sure you add water. And the goal, you know, I've heard from folks is that you want to do basically a compost lasagna. So you'll have brown matter, green matter, brown matter, green matter, right? And you're just adding water in between. I think that's great. If you're starting, just understand. But you'll see me, I do an extra step. I'll get it in there, but then I mix everything up and add water. So I'll do my layers, mix it up, add water, do my next layers, mix it up, add water, because I want to incorporate oxygen in there as well too, and also make sure, to my best of our ability, that we don't have, especially with this grass, we don't want to end up with a layer of grass, because that keeps oxygen and water from basically permeating between the levels. And that will get it'll kill off your aerobic bacteria, which is what you are doing with compost. You want a lot of air in there for the aerobic piece, and it gets your anaerobic bacteria to grow, and that's why it gets all slimy and gross. When you have compost and it's done right, you know, it should basically just be like, I should have pulled some out of this one just so you can see. It should just be like moist soil, right? It's there. That's the consistency you're going for. And I'll just kind of show you how much water I'm adding. Now, since this is going to be the first one, the first go, standard procedure for us here on this channel, anytime we're doing something for the first time, we add an obscene amount of water. An obscene amount, just soak it. Knowing that it's going to drain through, it's going to permeate where it needs to go, and we're going to turn this in a week. So we'll be able to look at basically the moisture levels at that point. If you don't have enough water in the pile to start at the beginning, it won't ignite. It won't get up to temperature. So you got to make sure you got plenty of water in there. So first time, we're not really worried about necessarily the moisture levels, just soak the crap out of it. Second time, as you can see here, I was kind of eyeballing on the previous one, what the moisture levels look like. So, okay, so here we go. Let's get into it. We got some, put a whole boatload of this green stuff in here. And you can see this sat from yesterday. Look how steamy that is. If you can see that or not. Look at that, steamy. Whew. It's already getting hot in here. That's why we want to get this in. Typically, I do this when I'll do my piles right as soon as I'm done mowing. Yesterday, Ryan was spent. I was done. I was smoked. I'm like, I'll just do it. So I saved it for today. So this got rained on too. All right, so now I got a decent amount of my grass in there. Now we're just going to come back in here. I'm going to put a whole bunch of this in here. Then we're going to mix it up. And I'm going to add some water. One more scoop. Yeah. And just for fun, give these guys a start too. Yeah, mix those in too. Last year's corn stalks. Some of those guys in there. Sorry if that's loud, folks. My apologies. So we're just gonna come in and we're just tossing. Just kind of tossing this to mix. And your first two turns that you have of this your setup and your first turn are gonna be your highest maintenance on these. They just are. Most labor. Because you're getting the pile started correctly. We always take our time, but again, I don't want you to worry about it. Don't ever worry about your compost. It'll take care of itself. So here, we're just going to dump a bunch of water on this. All right. That's my first layer. We just continue. More grass goes in there. So yeah, this is when I first looked at the property here. Hello. Oh, I got something. Sorry, just chatting with some folks there. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Oh, good. Hopefully this is a bill. It's just my neighbor dropping off the mail. Had mail time over here. Anyways, so I was first looking at the property here. I had in mind, I did math on how much wasted the grass, what this was going to look like from to be able to do compost on here. And the company that I had do my yard actually is my clients. The grass they put in here is beautiful, it's gorgeous. But with all the rain and intermittent sun we've had, I got almost 3 inches of growth in 4 days from this thing. It's just been, that's what I've been averaging. So I'm mowing at least twice a week right now, just to keep it healthy at a healthy size. Okay, so the other thing, those dang. See, this is what I'm pulling out of here, folks, just so you can see. My neighbor's leaves got these little glittery things here. Keeping those out of there. To borrow a phrase from Mr. Alton Brown, that's not good eats, not for the bacteria. So anyways, I was doing math on it, and I seem to be sticking right about the level that I was expecting as far as for output of compost. So I'm glad that my math still worked out. And you're gonna laugh, but I actually had a spreadsheet figured out about how much overall grass I should have, and you basically what the clippings were gonna. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to some of that stuff. I think I just look for a reason to do math sometimes when I really don't need to. But I'm able to, like I said, I want to be able to produce 1 bin a week of compost. You know, one of these. So basically, about like we were saying, 9 square feet or 9 cube feet, I should say. Excuse me. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 9 cubic feet. A little bit more in here. All right. I think I'm gonna put a little bit more leaves in here real quick. Come here, you. Again, right now I'm just looking at that mixture. Make sure that it looks okay. Because again, if we don't have enough brown stuff in there, the structure, like I said, I'm not too worried about it because I'll be back here in a couple weeks, but if we don't have the right amount of brown stuff, it'll flatten out on us. We want that brown stuff, at least the carbon at the beginning, to provide some of the structure for us. Because all this nitrogen stuff just wants to be flat. I think we all know that. And you hear my dog Bonnie protecting me from the neighbor girls. They're outside playing. If it wasn't for my dog Bonnie, my goodness, I'd be done by now. Yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all hopping on here. Any of you guys do any composting at your house? At your property? Is it something that you want to do? Just, more curious than anything. That's a big part of this is kind of hearing what everybody else has going on, in their world when it comes to, how they're doing their gardens. I have one individual was telling me, they're looking at just having one of those composters, the barrels in the back on their back deck that they can just put in stuff and rotate it around just to make enough for their container plants that they have, their container vegetables. So I thought that was pretty cool. I really consider that small scale composting, but that's great. The other thing is, especially if you're doing composting or if you're doing your part, and I say doing your part, all this stuff that, I'll give you an example. Not that it's a lot, but this little guy right here isn't in a landfill. It's going to be turned back into deliciousness for my plants. And that's what we want, right? I think we're doing the whole circle, right? The whole cycle we want to have. So why not try to do that where we can? And if that works out well for you to be able to do it just a little bit at your house, cool. Or if you're like me, you have a larger scale operation going, love to hear about that too, Because again, this is just a Ryan Howe production. No idea, there may be a better way that I could be doing this. For me, this seems to be working pretty darn good for me. Like I said, I'm pushing out a significant amount of compost, and a lot of these leaves too. This is an example. Were leftover from last year. I've got a whole. Trying to show you over here. I've got a whole pile of them right over there. So I've got my neighbor over there helping me. Just told her, I'll take everything you have, because I'll be able to incorporate it in whatever I have here, I'll be able to put it to use. Want some more leaves in there. I can just kind of tell that's off. Okay, there we go. Put you guys over there. Cool. All right, let's get this guy a little bit of spray here. We'll get on to our next bit. That's it, man. This is it, folks. This takes about 40 minutes to do one of these and do it right. Do a full thing. Taking my time. We don't rush. We don't rush on this channel. We don't stress out. We do work up a sweat, right? I am perspiring, but we also don't worry about it. You know, I've had, you know, and for good cause too. I love when I've had folks that come in the comments and they'll provide me their insight, and I love what they do. You know, but this just works for me. If you've got a system that works for you, I love to hear about it. But also, if it works, you don't need to change your system just because you see something I'm doing. If you want to try it, by all means, go ahead. But it doesn't mean that yours is necessarily wrong or mine is necessarily right. You do you, boo. You know? And that's what we're going after here is, you know, we're trying to get the same spot. I got the redhead stopping by. What's up, sweetie? What's going on? Just watching me work? Just watching me work? Redhead says hello, everyone. See if she wants to get on camera. She's going to tell me no. You're all going to get to see. Look at my wife. Say hi. Hi. There she is. You know, here to make sure I was actually working, not sitting out here just being silly. So she does that from time to time to keep an eye on me. But anyways, back to the serious stuff, not being harassed by the wife. She's right there. She's still hearing me talk. Anyways, if you have stuff going on, love to see what you're doing. You know, because there's things I do, like this year in my garden. Typically, I do my summer squash and my I would just kind of let it go and it's surrounding. I'm actually going to stake it this year, and we're going to grow all my summer squash and my zucchini straight up. You know, treat them the same this year. And part of that is where somebody, the heck is that? Okay. Someone had mentioned to me that that's going to be a better overall as far as basically getting powdery mildew on the leaves, because I'll be stripping the leaves as we're going up. So I thought that was, I didn't consider that. So we'll give it a try, see what it does for yields. You know, just do some math on it, do some sciencing with it, and see if that works for me here. It might work, it might not, you never know. All right. Yeah, sorry if this is loud, folks. I apologize. I just want to kind of get these guys in here and get them started, because these take a long time. These guys here, they take a long time to break down. So we'll give them a head start. And I don't need a corncob pipe, not frosty, so we can just toss that. But this is the other thing. There's the reason why I grow corn, not just because this, and we like to enjoy sweet corn, which the corn's going in the ground this weekend. I'm going to get my corn in my ground. The reason that other reason I like to grow my corn is for that right there. I grow pumpkins and I grow corn for my autumn display. So I let the corn go until it's, you know, it's done. I get what I need for corn as far as eating, and then I let everything else go. Cut down my stalks, and it's October. Same thing with my pumpkins. Move everything out for the, you know, the autumn display. And I do a display on the corner. I have a little street corner up here in my village. I live in a village, folks. It's true that I've adopted and kind of, you know, made it a little bright spot in our community where, you know, folks kind of look forward to now, and I do too. I just like doing it, putting out a display or for the different seasons. So this summer I've got a whole bunch of, you know, flowers and other stuff that I'm going to have out there just to brighten it up when people are coming into town. I think it'll look nice. And then in the fall, I have this little autumn display I do with, like I said, with the pumpkins and mums, and I get some those little straw bales you can get at the home stores like Lowe's. You know, they got the little baby ones. I get a bunch of them, and so use those. I got a couple little scarecrows too that are just in the mix, because now I got all this stuff mixed in there. Just gonna give this like a little happy little toss. I'm gonna do it by hand here. I just kind of want it shaking down around. Cool. All right, we're gonna hit with the hose here, and we'll get the next layer. So again, remember, folks, we're just kind of making layers here, then tossing them to get oxygen in, and then obscene amount of water. Remember that phrase. If you transplant something, obscene amount of water. compost, first run, obscene amount of water. You want to give it, basically what you're doing is you're giving whatever it is the best chance to get started, and it needs water for that. Again, I have well water here, so just be careful when you're using city water. It is going to slow down your overall uptake, but it's not the end of the world. I had somebody on a stream last week asking about that, and I told them, I'm like, if you are able to get rainwater, better. Or if you have a few 5-gallon buckets, just fill them up and then then leave them sitting out. And the chlorine will naturally, like that, magic fingers, whoo, the chlorine will magically evaporate out. It will leave. Okay, so now we're at the point where I'm going to get some more leaves in here. So I want to save, oh, there you go. Got some cardboard in there too. Break that up a little bit though. Get you out of there. There we go. And last year, I had to, just because of how relatively new, my neighbor didn't notice, we didn't like have a plan. When I moved in here, I was using every Amazon box in the village. I was like, just bring them over. We'll use them all for compost. Let's go. So I had tons and tons of Amazon boxes that were made into compost that are now in my garden. All right, so get this guy. Okay. Now, typically, one of the things I do here, how I've got these with a pallet off here. On this one, because I've got so much, I'm just going to heap this thing all the way up into this obnoxious size pile and then cover it with a tarp. And then next time when I come in here, because it'll reduce in size by about half, if not more, over the next week, then I'll worry about corralling it, because I'm back here in a week. This one that I had over here that you saw with the pallet, that had been done. That's for aesthetics, just my neighbors when they're walking by. Got to make it look pretty, right? Still got neighborhood standards and stuff. Got to keep an eye on. But back here, they can't see this far back, so I ain't too worried about that. But again, if it's your first time on the stream, welcome. If you've been here before, love to know where you're from. Like I said, we had somebody from Iowa stop by 2 days ago. She found me on recommended of all places, like when she logged into her YouTube. That was pretty cool. We were talking about different tomatoes that she likes, because I was doing my tomato trellises that day. And she has a type of tomatoes that she really liked, and we were comparing notes about the kinds that I really like and why. For me, San Marzanos are where it's at. They're, so I've got a bunch of those plants that are going. I'll be canning those this year. Between them and Roma, if I just want to mix them up with some, some cucumbers, that's what I like to do. But if, obviously I do like those simple hybrid slicers too, that you can just have. I like to have them for breakfast sometimes. Slice them up, put a little salt on them. They don't get much better than that, folks. Don't get much better than that. Okay. Yeah, so this is definitely getting to the point where we are kind of working the pile over here now, make it a little easier on me. Their layers are getting kind of big now. As you can see, we're gonna have this whole thing filled up and then some by the time I'm done here. It's just the same process over and over again, folks. We want to make sure that we're incorporating as much of the nitrogen in with the carbon, as much of and then also incorporating oxygen in there as well. But again, we're not really necessarily sweating. Let me get this in there. Like the overall ratio. Again, you want, there's, varying representation between 15 and 30 to 1. Again, I just do enough to cover. It's kind of what I do. And we're just, so I'm looking for an overall kind of texture on this. Let me know I'm kind of a good spot for the incorporation. Reason to overthink it, you know. But yeah, I appreciate it. I'm cycling through some folks on the stream today. I'm not sure if y'all got a chance to see my latest video, latest long form that I had on this little basically lawn aerator that I got from Amazon. But doing pretty good. It's got about 3,000 views right now, which I will take as somebody who's only got currently 295 subscribers. So if I have, you know, hopefully I earn your subscription today while you're watching this, get those numbers up. But I think I'm pretty happy with that. For me, you know, that's extremely good reach for, you know, just some old dude working in his yard, doing videos. But I do get to hang out with you guys. That's why I like doing this. Get to hang out and chat with you folks. Now, oh yeah, it's my mail. That's right. Like, what do I got in there? It was mail time. All right, so we're kind of switching up. You may have noticed we're kind of switching up the order of operations here. I'm getting the brown in there, then the green. I just want to make sure that we're getting enough brown in here now, because you can see my pile starting to spread down here, and the goal is we want to have enough to cover. That's where I always just go. That kind of lets me know as I'm building up where I'm at. So this layer is always starts getting a little bit bigger, a little bit more mixed in. And that's probably the last one I'm going to mix up in the, this is the last pile we're going to do in the actual corral, because the next bit I'm going to mix down here on the ground and then just push it up in there so I have it. Again, tossing it, make sure it's tossed correctly in there. You know, it's starting to be a bit of a challenge. And again, I don't really want to, well, one, we're going to be mixing this all up, tossing it here, you know, turning the entire pile over in a week. But also, you know, I'm an old guy, saves my back some, you know. Ain't trying to break me right now. Okay, yeah. So again, we're just getting some mixing going on here. Try to get this as mixed as possible. And like I said, we're not going to be popping the corral lid up on this one. This is going to be just back there, and I'm going to just kind of have a heaping pile, cover over the tarp until next week. Let me get some more brown in there, mix it up, and then we'll hit it with a hose. One more. Now, I have been asked before, you know, why I don't take my leaves and make leaf mulch with them. And that's a pretty straightforward answer. Just because of how much grass I have here and how much I'm pulling off every week. It's just easier for me to make compost with it than to let it sit there for a couple of years. I'd rather put it to good use, composting this, all these delicious treats, than just have it sit there for a couple of years waiting for it to, you know, again, there's nothing wrong with the leaf mold. You know, that stuff is definitely good because you get that, you know, a different type of nutrient from the leaves when the mold do their thing. But you know, where I'm at, you know, this amount of leaves that I have over here, right there, that's going to be enough to get me through. It might get me through June. So I'll be calling I got family that has a farm, have them bring a round bale of straw over, and I'll just be using that. Be using that going forward. So, you know, once we get to June, because I've got nitrogen being made every day in my yard that needs to be composted, and I don't want this stuff going to waste, especially when I can put it back in my garden, get things nice and big and healthy, you know. So again, as remember, the measurement for this is obscene amount of water. Just keep it going. And you'll see, and I'll pull this one off for you guys can see what it looks like once it, let's do that right now. Matter of fact, while we're right here, we'll take a look at this one, which is going on 3 weeks since its last turn. Yeah, it's almost 3.5 weeks since its last turn. I'm trying to find a way to make you not be all wobbly on this. I don't think I'm going to get there, folks. I'm on a high point. Sorry about the shakes. There we go. We'll do that. Okay. So let's see. You can see kind of how, actually bring you a little closer to that. Down here, you can see kind of what the striations look like on the compost. If we get down here just a little bit closer. There we go. And you'll see, obviously, this is the top. And this guy's gotten all the way down to here. You can see where I had some stuff blocking off. That's why you see that empty spot here, just an air gap. But you can see the layers of compaction as it's been going. So you can see the coloring as I get in here, right? Just where I'm behind that green. And if I squeeze it, I don't really get any water coming out of it. It's moist, you can see, but it's holding on to the deliciousness. And that's the amount of water you want in there, where it's moist, but you can't squeeze any excess off. And if you smell it, it doesn't smell like anything. Here, smell. Just kidding. Anyways, but no, you can't smell anything. At most, it smells like the forest. And that's what you want. And if your compost ever stinks, it means you've got anaerobic bacteria that are in there doing things. And that's not what we want. So you need to turn your pile and get back to this where it smells good. As soon as you introduce the correct bacteria back in, oops, sorry about that. Once you get the correct bacteria back in there, it goes back to smelling great and being wonderful again. So I was trying to, so that's how I know if I'm in a bad spot here or not. If I haven't done something correctly with my compost pile before I even get to it, I can smell it. And you'll get that because in case it smells like wet, stinky. We don't want that. That's all we want. So that's what you're looking for with your compost, folks. Nice and easy. All right, so for this last bit here, we're going to be mixing up a whole bunch of grass with our leaves. Whole bunch of grass with our leaves. Leaves with our grass, excuse me. And then just, adding it to the pile from there. So that's, again, I just want to do that from here rather than trying to mix it generally because it's such a small amount left. There you go. Okie doke. Got the leaves going in there. Now, it's time to mix. Got this little flower piece that just kind of pulled it flat. I wasn't sure what that was. Again, the goal here, doing a couple things. We're incorporating our leaves and our grass together, along with some of this compost that's come out of the other bin that didn't quite get scooped all the way back in. Again, you don't want to have that too much grass, or like I said, you don't want too much nitrogen in one spot, too much carbon, especially with grass. It mats really quickly, and that keeps oxygen from getting in and keeps water from getting down into the rest of your pile. Now for here, I won't have to worry about that as much because again, we've been soaking as we've been going here, and I'm going to be covering this entire thing with a tarp so we don't have like an endless amount of rain, that constant running new water coming in there. It's gonna be an issue. You don't want to have that be a piece. Additionally, when your compost is matured or is maturing, you don't want a bunch of water getting in there. You want to manage your moisture level, because that's going to be washing nutrients, leaching it out of your compost as well. So we want to just keep a top, cover a tarp on top, a tarp on top of it, covering it. So one, we can manage the moisture levels, and two, we keep all the nutrients where we want it in the compost. Get up there, you. There you go. Cool. Let me get this last bit in there. Okay. And now for fun, just because I want to make sure there's some in there, a few more. Let's add a couple of these guys in here too. All right, get some more leaves, throw it on top, and we're gonna hit it with the hose. Where'd that go? There you go, friend. Just one more smattering of leaves up here. There we go. Cool. All right, so that's that last bit there. Now we are just on to our last bit of water for this. Now with this, we want to take our time on this last bit and make sure we get plenty of water on this. Lots and lots of water on our compost here. That is the goal. Now we've already been, sorry again for those just joining us right now, welcome. We've already been basically adding water this entire time, but we are adding the final bit of water to make sure that as much of this is saturated as possible for this first bit. Super important, super duper important that the first run has a lot of water, because it's going to be draining out because of all the air pockets that are in here, and you're going to want it hitting as many of those areas and soaking in. So it just runs through all the air pockets right now. So every surface is going to be saturated, which is going to give water for our anaerobic or aerobic bacteria to do what they need to do. They're going to be in here just breathing and chomping up a storm, farting and getting warm. End of the day, that's what they're doing. And when we come back to look at this in a week, because I'll be looking to come back through here in a week and turn this, it should be down to right about here. We should have cut this well in half in the first week. Like, it shouldn't even be an issue. All right. And how you can tell you've got good air pockets in here as well. When you're spraying towards the top, you shouldn't see water, pouring down the front. You should be able to hit it, and all that water is just going straight down, which is what's happening here. There aren't a lot of drips that are going on. Vast majority of the water is hitting and just running into the pond. So it's getting happy. All right. Well, that does it for today. And basically the rest of my day is watering, and then I've got some other maintenance to do that I can't really bring you guys along for. So with that, it's thank you for stopping by the stream today. Again, if you haven't already, I hope I earned your subscription today. I'm saying, if you do subscribe or you have subscribed, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I go live, so you can join me on stream here. Or also, again, any likes or shares with your folks you think this may be beneficial for would definitely be appreciated. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow.